Now, in the last video, I emphasized that you can't get the most out of your stalkers unless you have something, a single entity preferably, to slow down the enemy's advance, but not cause shots to be obstructed. Now, you could use Khalida for this if you're playing her faction, but then you're losing the advantage of her big buff to missile damage. I mean, she starts with a pretty nice buff, and then it becomes extreme later on. You already have such large base damage with the missiles. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So how do you stop this? How do you stop the enemy forces from advancing long enough so that you can actually take pot shots? Now, you could use Lich Priest, like the one that you started with Khalida. That's obviously a really bad idea. I mean, look at this paper armor. What is this? Tanamo no Mai? Paper thin armor. And that's a Fate series reference. Anyway. Point is that you don't want a wizard or a priest to be playing that way. You could potentially use a necrotect. I mean, they are more armored, but you really don't want them to be returning to the tombs. You don't want them to be lost to your forces forever. So what do? Early on, you do have an option, and that is the Tomb Prince. And here's the first thing I want to say. The mounts are a trap. The auto mounts are a trap. Because they automatically get upgraded to their mounts, and they automatically have their mounts equipped. That can really mess up what I'm going to talk about. But, let's go over it. Armored and shielded. 70 armor, which is half-decent silver shield. So he's already resistant to all sorts of archer spell. He's armor-piercing, which is really good. He's anti-large, which is really, really good. He has base high melee defense. This reminds me of Dark Elf Masters, High Elf Nobles. Melee attack is okay, speed is pretty bad, charge bonus is pretty bad. But in terms of the armored and shielded, heavily shielded, the armor piercing, the anti-large, what else in the roster do you really have that does these roles? Well, you have something that does some of them, but, I mean, you have them. Mighty Necrosprints, but that's Tier 5. Tier 5 building. Tier 5 settlements to build the Tier 5 building. 3 turns to actually build the unit. I mean, it's a great, fantastic unit. You can get Tomb Princes way early. And they do have some weaknesses. And number one is that they can be assassinated. I'm not kidding. I've had a Tomb Prince assassinated in Khalida's army on the eve of a major battle, and then I couldn't use him in the role that I'm talking about, in any capacity. So that kind of sucked. If you have a Necrosphinx, if you have a Tomb Scorpion, they cannot be assassinated. That is a clear advantage over a Tomb Prince. So, that's one thing. Also, on foot, the speed is pretty slow, but with a chariot with a skeleton horse mount, they can't do this role. They just can't do this role. But like this, I mean, this is actually these are very good hit points, honestly. The point is that if you have a Tomb Prince at the head of a formation that has stalkers in back, or even if you're even earlier in the campaign and it's just skeleton archers, one unit of your Shopkeep great bows, and whatever you have for your artillery here, the Tomb Prince is really, really good at that role. He's basically the only guy who can actually do it, to be honest with you. He's the only one who can do it, but what happens if Krokgar comes? Well, you have to kiss these guys goodbye. There are cases where you have to treat them as expendable, which is unfortunate, but I mean, it takes level 20 to get to immortality with them. That's difficult. You're going to lose these guys, but they're also extremely valuable to do this tactic with, and a key part of a smart army composition. But, again, if they're expendable, it means that you're going to be recruiting new ones, I mean, you're not too expendable. You want them to survive. You love them to survive. But that's going to take some 10 or 11 care. The point is that the more you have things like Shakti Great Bows, Stalkers, Archers, firing into a situation where the Tomb Prince is holding back part of a tide, that tide is going to collapse a lot faster. And then you have whatever, priest casting spells, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. But it all operates around the Tomb Prince being able to stick his thumb into the leaking dike and to hold the tide back for just a little while. But he's not bad at that. He's not bad at all. Like I said, what else do you have that's armor-piercing and anti-large and shielded? Not a whole... well, nothing really. Nothing. He performs a role nobody else can perform. I mean, in this particular way. But like I said, hey, once you can get a Necrosphinx, they can't be assassinated, so... there is that. There is that. Anyway, that's it for this one, and we'll cover more aspects of the Tomb King army in future videos. Take care.